Hello, I'm Mary Frances Rozak,
And I'm Maria Lemieux.
and welcome to episode 2 of Highlighting the Lakeway Business District. In this episode, we're going to take you from the 1990s through 2010 at the beginning of the beautification project.
I had the opportunity to interview Michael Hale, Jack Perrault, and Mike Perna, and had them discuss the master plan and when the beautification began back in the 90s. Let's hear what they had to say. Last episode brought us through about 1990s, and today we'll be going from the 1990s up until the present day Lakeway Business District. Joining me is Mike Perna, Jack Perrault, and Michael Hale. Now, Jack and Mike, you guys were around and played integral parts when the improvements were happening along Route 9. What can you tell me about what happened during that period?
I think the genesis really happened with a transition in the town manager. And in 1997, Mr. Carney retired and Dan Morgado took over. And Dan went out into the community and met with a number of groups and neighborhoods and got input as to what the significant issues were in town and what he should focus on for priorities. And at the time, traffic in the town center was a major priority. And so that became one of the number one projects that we focused on while I was working for him, and then Jack started shortly thereafter. And as part of that project, we incorporated some beautification and created a nonprofit that raised money for ornamental lighting and a walk of history. The project was very successful, and so that led us into our next traffic improvement project, which focused down into the Lakeway district, and I'll let Jack kind of talk about the master plan and
Right.
how that.
I think the real kickoff for us too was also with the master plan. Now the master plan looked at the entire town, but we had a special focus, especially on that piece of Route 9. And in it, it referred to it as our economic Main Street. And when you think about it, that really is our Main Street. That is where we have a lot of our business and commerce is right in that small stretch. So we decided to go ahead and start to take the recommendations from that master plan and start to implement them. To do that, we had to meet with some of the people down on Route 9, and Mike, if you want to talk a little bit about how we initiated that, because you got that part going a bit.
We unlike the town center where we did some private fundraising, we wanted to incorporate a beautification effort into the Route 9 corridor as well. And we wrote some grants and received them, and also working with John Knipe and the Central Mass Regional Planning, we were able to get the project on the roadway improvement project on a transportation improvement program funding list so that it wasn't funded with local dollars. And the grants that we got assisted in the tree plantings, and the ornamental lighting was paid for by Selco this time. Tom Josie at the time agreed to fund the entire ornamental lighting portion along the Route 9 enhancement project. And then we did some other work with crosswalks,
Can we just, so the enhancement project, just so everybody's well aware, started at the bridge and went through, we're talking through the Maple Ave intersection.
Correct.
Yeah, right. And that's the section of roadway that was redone. Well, there was some intersection improvements in North Quincy and South Quincy, and then we carried it on up to the Fair Lawn area, and that incorporated some crosswalks, some stamped concrete in the islands, as well as the tree plantings and the ornamental lighting. So we got the grants, we got the project done, but then we didn't, the state said, yeah, we'll allow you, because it's a state highway, we'll allow you to do this. It's not something we typically do. But the thought was to carry it from Shrewsbury Street, which Worcester had done down and up through the Fair Lawn district. But the state said, we're not maintaining it. And so we said, well, we're not going to maintain it either. So then we started knocking on doors, and that was the kind of origins of re-energizing what was the Boston Turnpike Association.
Yep.
Now has morphed into the Lakeway Business District Association, and the homeowners meet almost monthly, and they raise money to hang banners that we have, and as well as maintain all the landscaping in the public right-of-ways along that stretch of road. And I think, I'll let you talk, Maria, but the Lakeway Business District has great potential to do more and more things. It's just that the initial task was to get the landscaping maintained so that it didn't fail after the roadway was redone. And I think, Jack, if you want to touch a little bit on, we kind of, in the master plan proving in this whole improvement landscaping project, we kind of divided the business district into 3 sections. We had the White City section, which private development re-energized and gave it a nice facelift. We had the heart of the Lakeway district, which was the Spags parcel, which is well on its way of being redeveloped. And then we have the other anchor end, which is the Fairlawn up to Oak Street area. And we hope in time, things take time, that too will be redeveloped and will become a viable center for our residents and others to enjoy. I think skirted, Jack, some of how difficult it was to get this done.
Well, yes, you made this sound so easy. Oh yeah, and then we just formed the Lakeway Business District Association. And
for me, the interesting part of it was that the two, really, the roadway construction kind of tied into this improvement program too, and what at the time seemed to be a real major difficulty for us, and that was the fact that this project moved very quickly through the approval process to get the roadway improvements done, because there was some money available at that time, and probably another project had fallen off and they're looking to plug one in. So that left us with $0 to go out and get all the easements, all of the rights of entry, everything we needed. It was really a blessing in disguise, because Mike and I had to go out and meet and talk to every individual property owner on that whole stretch of Route 9 and either get an easement granted to us or in most cases a right of entry. From that, we were able to then meet the people and establish this relationship. From that, we said we can get the grant money, but we need somebody else to step up to be able to take care of everything. And again, I guess the part that was really uplifting about it all was you were one, and Mary Frances and Jay Thomas and some others said, you know what, that's a good idea. We can do that. That sounds like a great idea. Let's get into that. And from that, so from the difficulty, we got the Lakeway District formed, and now the association is there and very vibrant and growing all the time. And many of the same property owners still involved on Route 9 that were initially involved. So the tie-ins are really there to even what Mike was talking about earlier in one of the earlier segments with many of the properties and the people who own them and are still there now and still have viable businesses and still participating in that section of Route 9. So
I think one thing that we should probably touch upon is, and going back to the history of Route 9, in all the smaller family-owned businesses, that like as the years have gone by, there are those bigger chains. So we don't have, it's not just a mix of local family-owned businesses anymore. There are those that have corporate headquarters. So for me as a member of the Lakeway Business Association, it sometimes becomes difficult to get these bigger corporations into this type of an association because they're not here every day. They're not vested in the town other than running a business, but where we are living here and we're working, we're playing here.
Yeah, and I think though that we have established we've accomplished successfully the landscaping component and the maintenance thereof, and going on, potentially they would become more involved, Maria, if we were able to somehow create some type of Lakeway District Day where there's a sidewalk sale for a bunch of the merchants.
There's definitely. Okay.
The food vendors.
You're talking about the Lakeway Business Day. I can remember White City used to have like those summer, like in the summer, they'd always have those sidewalk sales.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm sure you obviously remember.
Here and there.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing I was going to mention is the fact, if I recall this correctly, when the Lakeway Business District was coming about and the improvements were being made, was our now Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito was a big part of that. I can remember going to like a kickoff type affair. So she was very, very.
She was very helpful at the time. I believe she was the state rep, and she was very helpful in assisting us in applying for the grant resources that we received to get this work done. But
and naming it, right? Because up until when did it actually become named the Lakeway Business District?
I'd say in the mid 2000s, maybe 10 years
with the
ago.
logo.
With the logo, yeah. Mike Pagano, I think, helped us design that logo, or
Correct.
somebody from his staff. And we tied the rowing component into it because rowing has such a history, and rowing is a teamwork, and what we wanted to do is get the merchants together as a team and carry on that theme that no one person can get this done, but we have to do this as a team of merchants.
Definitely.
And that's kind of what happened. But going back to, some type of Lakeway Day, I think when Lakeway Commons is finally built, it's going to be the heart of the entire district, and hopefully that will spur some type of additional
We are hopeful for that as well.
theme type commerce and fun day for the community to spend down there. We went through in the master plan, I recall, Jack, we went through a number of gyrations, from the town manager even proposing that we should have parallel or diagonal parking on each side of Route 9 as a means of slowing traffic down to bring people into the district to use the stores, but that didn't go over too well with the highway planning people from the states. It was quickly, but when you stop and think about it, it's really a good idea. It would have been wonderful to have parking, but because parking and zoning are the two biggest issues along the Lakeway District, and the zones are so narrow.
But Mike, if we had, we have White City, and then then we're going to have Lakeway Commons, and eventually, if the Phelan piece of it gets redeveloped, we have places to stop.
Right.
And there's ways of getting between. If we have means of getting between these areas, there'll be parking there, and and the other businesses in the area will benefit from that as well.
I agree.
I think that just to see this organization grow, from my point of view, I'm glad to see that it did happen, it did take off. There are, again, many dedicated people that have kept it going and keep it going, where, I'd love to see more participation and new people coming in, but I think we also got to give just a quick plug to Mass, at the time Mass Highway, now Mass DOT. Again, their transportation, their highway people, their thoughts are always, how do we move them through faster, more efficient, and make it quicker and easier trip for everybody. But they looked at this with us and said, okay, we can make this work. Yes, we understand that is a little different than our normal way of thinking, to put in landscaping, to put in ornamental lighting, brick accent strips and everything else on the highway. But they did see it, and they did work with us, and we're glad they did, and they continue to work with us. The input also on the bridge, which I guess we'll talk about in another segment later on, and how we get to be involved in that too. So
I know, we were definitely lucky that the bridge work got done too, because that's a beautiful addition to the district.
it is.
With nominal impact on the merchants, I would say. There was a lot of concern when that project was proposed. We're going to go out of business. No one's going to go by on Route 9. And rightfully so. People were scared. But the way the the state ran that project and the contractor that they had, yes, there was some inconvenience, and yes, there was some traffic issues, but for the most part, they were mitigated through a cooperation and outstanding performance.
I feel the construction there was seamless. I think again, like you said, a lot of people were concerned about it, but I think after it was done, I don't even think it didn't have an impact at all.
No, nominal, I'd say.
Yeah.
So.
I agree.
Well, thank you, Maria. That was a really interesting and fascinating interview that you had, and I appreciate all the information that I learned, and I hope our viewers enjoyed it as well.
Well, you're welcome, Mary Frances. The second part of this show is about the bridge beautification, actually the whole rebuilding of the bridge. We're going on site next to talk about that. So here we are at the Burns Bridge on this beautiful sunny day and windy day. I'm here with Kristen Lass, the assistant town manager, Jack Perrault, the retired town engineer and Lakeway Business District Association co-chair, and Jeff Howland, Howland, the current town engineer. So Jack, we were talking about the redevelopment of Route 9 in the first part of this segment, and we were wrapping up with the beautification project, and that was wrapping up around 2009, 2010 is when it was totally complete. But in 2009, on the heels of that project completing, it was determined that the Burns Bridge, the existing bridge, had lived out its life. Do you want to talk about what that project was like?
Sure. It's actually one of those things that have been going on for quite a while, because Mass DOT was constantly doing inspections on the bridge to see how it was holding up. They had actually had a repair project that was done a few years before that, just to try and hold it together. But they finally determined that it was time for that bridge to be replaced. And I clearly remember having a public hearing up at the middle school in the auditorium where they were showing pictures from underneath with the wooden bracing and everything holding things up in place temporarily. And that was all as a result of the Bridge and Safety Inspection Program. So from that, they then went to a bridge design. And the bridge design was a process that I was very happy, and I know Kristen was too. They included the town and the city of Worcester in that process. So it wasn't just Mass DOT designing a bridge that was on their roadway, and it was their bridge, but they were looking for input from both the city and town. And we went through many meetings over a course of time to determine
there was a lot
of
of planning that went into the development of this.
That went into it from many different views. It was from not just how the bridge was going to look, it was traffic management, it was how would it be constructed, how could they handle everything and keep the traffic moving, at the same time. How would it impact the businesses? So a lot of that was going on. I don't know if Kristen has any other ideas.
What were your views on it as that was going on?
Sure. So, while we were helping to design the project, we knew that the businesses in Shrewsbury and Worcester may be concerned about the construction, may be concerned about people being able to cross the bridge, either being a pedestrian, in a vehicle, or on a bicycle. And we really brought that to the forefront with DOT, and they worked with us. We also attended bi-weekly project planning meetings and project construction meetings, and with that information that we received from those meetings, we were able to enlighten our businesses, bring that information to the Lakeway Business District meetings, post things on the Town of Shrewsbury website, and at our planning board meetings every month to let people know that businesses were open during the construction. There was always going to be traffic in both directions open, 2 lanes of traffic in each direction open, and there would be minimal disruption. And actually that promise did come true, which we're very excited about.
If I could just talk briefly to that, one of the lucky features that we had here was the old bridge was actually offset from the current alignment of Route 9. So they were able to come in and construct this eastbound barrel first beside the old bridge, then put the traffic over onto this bridge, tear the old one down, and build the other side. So it was kind of a unique opportunity in that sense too. I know many people were worried about how it would all work, but it was flawless. I mean, they really did a great job.
And we actually called that the Jack Perrault bump out that allowed that to occur.
Nice
that all?
try.
It was all his idea. Well, no. I think we all remember like what traffic was like here, and I think that was one of the biggest concerns. Is what's going to happen with? But I felt like I don't know. I felt like it was a seamless project. I don't feel like there was any like delays in traffic whatsoever. Do you remember any of that or any complaints from anybody during the project?
From my point of view, when I was involved, which was only for part of the construction, I would say that there was minimal complaints, to be honest with you. And again, it had to do with so much planning that went into it. Mass DOT deserves all kinds of credit for how they put things together, along with the contractor, Middlesex, who built this. They were tremendous. And it all just came together, and people worked together, and it was a great partnership, I guess I'd say.
Kristen, are there any unique features about the bridge that you want to talk about?
Absolutely. I think there's 3 or 4 main components. You see in the background of us that there are sails, or what makes it look like sails. They're actually lit up at night, and the lighting color can change. This was a design idea that was thought of by the Aesthetic Committee, and the Aesthetic Committee was made up of town officials, state officials, Mass DOT, and was refined by the contractor, the Middlesex Company. So those really were designed and thought of because of the unique rowing character and sailing on the lake here at Regatta Point at the Donahue Rowing Center. There are 8 bump outs where people can sit and enjoy the water, take a rest if they're walking over the bridge, look at the races that are going on for rowing, or even in the winter if they're just wanting to sit and enjoy the peaceful quietness. There's also 8 plaques, and they're made to look like rowing skulls that explain kind of the history of Shrewsbury, the history of Worcester, the history of the lake, the new bridge, the old bridge, and they're very unique. As well as there's new lighting across the bridge that's designed to kind of match the Shrewsbury and Worcester decorative lighting, and banners can be hung similar to the banners that are within the Lakeway Business District. So those are all very aesthetically pleasing, and we're very excited to see those on this bridge. It makes it a very unique bridge in the area.
I think it's really fun. Like, I love coming over the bridge at night and seeing like all the different lights that are going on down there. So Jeff, you came in towards the end of the project, and you were the hero of the project.
I'll take full credit, and yet I really should take none.
So what was it like? What was it like for you coming into this project toward the tail end? What did you find unique about the project?
Coming into the tail end, I had the luxury of having all the pre-planning, pre-engineering, and design that was already done. And I got to enjoy sitting and listening to the meetings at the tail end as they were wrapping up. I think I started going to the construction meetings when they just started the westbound barrel of the bridge. So I got to listen. So when we went to the quarterly or every bi-weekly meeting, we would sit there and listen to the banter going back and forth between DOT and the contractor, because this was a design build. So there were aspects that were actually being designed as it was being constructed, because they hit sediment that was deeper than they expected. They hit material in the water that was deeper than they expected, or in different conditions than they expected. So they would put the piles in and then design around the pile that was being done. So to get to listen to that whole process actually was very interesting. But during that whole process, we were also able to keep, as Kristen said, we were able to keep everybody, and at least on the Shrewsbury side, knowing what the progress was, which sort of helped, I think, on this side. Because when you had the business, especially when we started doing the westbound barrel, you had the 3 or 4 businesses on that west side or the north side that were greatly impacted because the road was closed at that location, but to try making sure that they were kept in the loop and also kept having main access to it. And Middlesex Corp and DOT did a very good job of trying to make sure that they had access at all times to those businesses. So that was very enjoyable to actually get to do that during that process.
And I think obviously the project moved along very smoothly because, one, it was done before schedule, right? It was before the scheduled date, and it was under budget. So that was, again, a great thing to happen with this project, and it's beautiful. Everybody gets to enjoy it.
I can make one more point too, as some of the traffic goes by. But one of the concerns early on in the project was the impacts it may have on the lake itself and the environmental impacts. Because of the way they worked the project, and they worked it from below with the barges and everything else, and the what they were able to do with the island over here, there used to be an area behind the island over on the Worcester side.
That's right. Yeah.
That was closed off, so it was actually the water would stagnate in there. They've been able to open up that bay and take out part of that, nosing that island to actually let the water flow through there now, so we don't have that stagnant water situation. So environmentally, there were no real issues either with it. In fact, there was an improvement to the lake itself. So again, there's just so many aspects of this project that went well and continue to today, serve the public and everybody else.
Well, I was just going to say,
Great
we
project.
can't forget about the regatta races that happen down here, and the crew races, and what a great space, what a great way they have to view now that wasn't there before.
I also say, too, that one other thing in recognition of this project, the American Public Works Association awarded it with one of its highest prizes for a public project within the United States. So that tells you that just the level of what has happened here, and it's right in our own front yard, backyard, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
right here
we're
at the
very
doorstep.
fortunate to have this here.
Yeah.
You're right, and the lake too. Thank you, Kristen, Jack, and Jeff, talking about the Burns Bridge project. I hope you guys all enjoyed learning about it as much as I did. Join us next time when Maria Smith visits our local store owners in the Lakeway Business District, and we'll hear what they have to say about doing business in the Lakeway Business District. Thanks for joining us.
Lakeway Business District Association, a group of dedicated property owners and businesses, invites you to join our organization. Created in 2010 with the initial mission to maintain the landscaping improvements as part of the Route 9 reconstruction, this nonprofit association has become an advocate for local businesses in the Lakeway area. As a member, you will build partnerships with other businesses and together improve your community. As a group, you will be able to participate in promotions like our walking map and the light pole banners. Make us stronger. Become a member today, thelakeway.org.